that's kind of like the one cool thing about this matchup is that you kind of just get to be aggressive against Teach no matter what, and they just kind of have to take it because they need to protect as many cards in hand as possible, so they can't really afford to counter out of life early.
Yeah, it's also like there's so like you were saying before, there's so much filter, there's so much like draw that you can play and teach. To the point where as long as you have enough in hand, you're probably going to arrive at the late game you want. But I do think in this matchup, you are trying to find the pieces that set up the rest of the game because you cannot afford to stumble versus Black Yellow Luffy. The end game is so strong in that deck that you need to make sure that you are getting to everything you need to by the time they're gone. So I do think that like you are just looking for your sculptors this early in the game.
And there is the fist bump. The game is underway. Our top 16 match here in the One Piece tournament at Bandai Card Fest. Bandai Card Games Fest 2024. Now I'm doing it, Michelle. And it looks like it's a tournament play Flampe to bring a life into hand for Michael. And so that's going to get that early hand size going, the early life rolling.
And then we see the flash of the Ivankov as well in Michael's hand. That might give him some extra advantage in these early turns that could totally help in the late game against Teach.
Yeah.
And we're already off to a good start with the stage turn 1, dropping the Laboon.
Just want to get those cycles going for the big 10 drops in the deck. The more of those we see, the better.
Yeah, I mean, like we said, if you're the Teach player, maybe you are just kind of stacking for the late game, right? Start to play the 10 cost Teach, start to negate things. It's a big deal. Pass turn over to Michael again, going to 3 Don. And what's it going to be?
There we can see the Ivankov coming down that I did see flash in his hand, and just a pass. We're going to choose the slower route as Michael. We're not going to be aggressive. He knows this game is going to go late. He's not going to give the Teach player extra cards. I like that sort of conservative play from him.
No additional cards just to discard when he needs to. But, yeah, I mean, in the late game, it's not going to be hard for Black Yellow Luffy to take all of that life if the Teach player doesn't get online. But already seeing that 10 cost come to his hand, you just know that he is setting up the bomb.
And I like seeing Joe go for the aggression of like leader attacks here because he knows even if I give you your combo, I can just turn it off. So I'm going to bring you to 0 as quickly as I possibly can.
And that is the fact of the matter. He is going to be able to push him towards that threshold, but then be like, good luck playing without your own play effects.
And then we see the Burgess coming down, which is going to be a super powerful late game threat against Michael.
Yeah, the more cards in trash, the stronger the card gets.
And it can't be KO'd, which means all those black cards that Michael has access to in his deck aren't going to work. He's going to be there forever unless you attack over him.
Burgess stonks going up.
Always.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Right now, only powered by Laboons. But you need a few more cards for that.
Yeah, Laboon isn't that crazy in this matchup because...
Yeah, not as high priority,
Yeah, cost reduction is not the most needed in Teach.
Do you know how expensive your discard pile is right now?
Look, you guys aren't wrong, but I will take no Laboon slander. He is best boy.
Oh, he's adorable. We love Laboon.
We're complimenting Laboon.
Yeah.
It's tragic that he's there, that he's not needed as much in this matchup.
Mm-hmm. We see the Sabo coming down. Going to be getting some extra filter here from Michael.
Yeah.
He probably had the option to play a 5-drop Luffy, I think I saw in his hand, but chose to go for this blocker play because he realizes I'm going to get hit a lot, and I kind of don't want that right now.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with just hard casting the Sabo, right? You don't always need to, grow the boys into the men from your life pile, right? You can just play the cards too, and the filtering that comes along with the Sabo is never a bad thing.
What was the verbiage we decided for when the babies go into the big boys?
I wanted to call this the boys to men deck.
Sure.
It's all the 2-cost kid versions into the powerful grown-up versions.
Yeah, saying they aged feels weird.
Yeah.
Boys to Men is wild, but I respect it. But at the same time, it's like...
It's a bit of a dated reference.
When Teach is not having his leader effect on, you just got to get in these on plays when you can. And so playing Bisabo now just to get the sculpt out, that's just necessary.
That's a super good point, too. Yeah.
So there we see the cycle with the stage as well as a cycle with the Tempest Kick. You're just going to be, like I said, digging for the cards that we want to see, getting rid of the cards we don't want. Like with this board's texture, yeah, Doc Q feels really not that great. Going to grab the Searcher event here.
Mm-hmm. And again, it's like those low-cost characters on the other side are not big priority removal targets. The 2-cost, young Ace, Sabo, Luffy, those aren't like, you don't really get to remove those, right? Because they get immediately turned into the 5-cost versions too. So yeah, the Doc Q just not going to find as much value in this matchup.
You say that, but that Flampe, I think it might attack at one point during one of these turns. I wouldn't be surprised.
The Flampe attack and the low-cost attack in general is never something to be discounted in One Piece, but you don't see it all the time.
Yep. So there we see the search revealing another event, a Doc Q, and another Burgess. Burgess could be huge here because we do happen to have the 4 Dons still up. I don't believe the event can search the event.
I don't think so off the top of my head.
It can grab events, but it can't grab the same named event as I believe the
That's
restriction.
Yeah, like Burgess is going up on the ladder of power is
big.
just so important with how big Luffy can get later in the game.
Yeah, I think we have 7 right now in trash, which gives him the +1. One more card, we give him +2. Like using the leader ability, going with +2. I think this is more for the Burgess and less about the stopping on plays. Funny enough.
Yeah, I mean, if you can buff up the Jesus Burgess to the point where you can just start putting in one big attack per turn. You can just start to whittle away that Luffy in a way that feels a bit safer, I suppose.
This attack from Joe here, attacking with the leader first to bait the block from Michael, is awesome. Because if he does block, I'm like, okay, Burgess attack Sabo?
I was like, baiting is only as good as it can be versus like how good the player is, and Michael's a good player, so
Yeah,
like,
he saw right through it.
Oh, and another one comes down. Wow, all right.
It's like I said, they're just threats, you know. And like,
Yeah.
let's say like in a perfect world where Michael's able to like combo before Joe goes for like that big teach play of like turning off the on plays. Burgess might be just strong enough to threaten him anyway, no matter what power level his leader's at.
Yeah. Plus 2K right now is what we're seeing from the dice.
Yeah, exactly. 8K total, I think, because it's base power of 6.
I believe so, yeah. Gets bigger and bigger. The funny thing is, like, you might feel very safe with a 8K attacker, on the crackback, right? But Black Yellow Luffy is regularly 9K on the leader, so we have to get a little bit bigger before we start attacking with those. Speaking of Luffy's.
We see the Fist Luffy coming down, getting rid of that last card in life, and drawing an extra card going up to 8,000, I believe. And now we can use the leader ability, and we might just, like, leave the 2 life in there.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be the worst thing per se. You've got blocker, right? But you've got a couple blockers, but it's still a little bit scary when there is some removal in there, and you're at 0 life. So yeah, I think you may want to play a little bit safe here from Michael's side of things.
It is unfortunate, though, that if this is his game plan, that those cards will go to the bottom of his deck instead of the trash. Not normally the biggest deal in the world for Luffy, because you're almost always at 1 or 0, but losing 2 cards that you would have recycled later in the game can hurt.
Yeah, per the rules.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's see what the play is now for Joe. As we go over to the, I believe, 8 Don turn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think it's just going to be more of the same, cycle, get the pieces. Maybe like a Von Augur would be a pretty cool thing to establish here on this turn. So that way next turn when we go for our 10 drop, we can have something that's already an established threat plus 2 Burgesses, which is just kind of crazy to think about.
And is he going to grab? Okay, yeah. Decides to grab the Von Augur, I believe that was.
Yeah, I believe that was. And then the choice was stronger as the 2K. He's like, I don't need 2Ks right now. He's not attacking me.
Yep.
yeah, you're just in the position right now with 5 life. You just want to actually build up that unstoppable board, but his hand is getting fairly tiny.
Oh, was it Lafitte and not Van Augur?
Oh, yeah, it was Lafitte. Yep.
They're both awesome dudes in hats. No big deal.
That's true. One of them searches, though.
Very, very good.
One of them draws you a card on KO. It's always nice.
I think I saw a black hole in Peach's hand. That could be a really cool card to play this turn. Just getting rid of one of these funny cards because now we don't have the protection from Sabo from KO effects.
Yeah. Does grab a 2K now, but you mentioned earlier as we see this 6K swing come in from the leader. This is one of the things with Teach is that your hand size does kind of dwindle. If you decide to use the ability, as the game goes on, and that is where Black Yellow Luffy can just kind of chill and wait, and then try to take advantage of that later.
Yep, that's where Michael's sort of starving from the life cards decision here for this game is kind of paying off. Is like his hand's really big, but Joe's hand is kind of dwindling down, and in the late game that'll be a really big deal.
This is true. I mean, we are going to get to a point soon, though, where a 10 drop is going to come down, and you can have no cards in hand. A 10 drop is still a 10 drop.
9K swing coming in now from one of the Burgess.
Yep, I believe we declared the leader ability, getting rid of that black hole in hand. Sort of, again, it's kind of funny seeing the leader ability of Teach, normally thought of as a cost, kind of also serve as an engine for these Burgesses to get stronger. That's really cool. Basically, Joe is no longer needing to commit Dawn to these cards to make them stronger. All he has to do is discard a card that he's probably going to discard anyway.
Very well piloted, and the thing is the reason why this gets really scary for the Black Yellow Luffy too is now this shuts down the Sabo turn next, right, where you prevent everything from being KO'd. Sure, you still get a blocker per se if you do it, but it really makes it harder to protect that board from removal that Black has so much access to.
So there we see a fun little card in Michael's hand, that Shirahoshi, which has been some new tech in the BY Luffy decks. Basically being an on-play blocker that can -4 cost is really useful for sort of getting some control-y plays against the Shanks, the Dofis, the Bonnies of the world.
Yep, opting to not use either blocker and just take that damage.
There we see a third Burgess coming down,
Whoa,
another
okay.
9K attack.
Wow. Jesus Burgess, take the wheel.
I really love this play from Joe because now that the on plays are turned off, I have no idea how Michael gets rid of this last card in his life to actually go for his combo. And next turn we're going to have 3 9K attacks minimum. That's going to be pretty threatening. Oh, that's right. We have the Rocket Luffy already in play. Doi.
Right.
The Fist Luffy. I was like, oh my gosh, did Joe just stop him? No. Michael was set up already.
0 life, 3 cards in hand, though. And, okay, yeah, we're going to have the Flampe, the dreaded Flampe attack and take out the Lafitte.
You either love to see it or you hate to see it because you're like, dang, a 1K got value, but also, oh my gosh, a 1K just got value? That's so cool.
Yeah, but that means, only 2 more cards in trash away from an even stronger Burgess, too, so.
Yeah, what would it be, a 10K at that point? Oh
Yeah.
my goodness.
And then you start playing the big 10 cost 12K teaches. It's a terrifying board.
This is about to get really, really hairy.
Yeah.
And then still being at 5 life, I understand like the tactic is to starve, but like his board is about to be super set up and a significant buffer of life to sit on.
Yeah, I'm kind of wondering, just like, what's your method for dealing with this from the Black Yellow Luffy side? I mean, you have the ability to make your leader very strong, but you've got a lot of big characters on the other side that can go over even that common 9K status that the Luffys can get to, and is arguably going to have a hard time getting to some of these turns here.
It's like high key. If 3 Burgess weren't on the field, I believe the strategy would be to wait out his hand and then dominate him afterwards. But these 3 Burgesses are going to be very problematic.
They naturally represent a clock, and they basically force you to use resources that you wouldn't get any value out of because you have no on-play effects.
Mm-hmm. But we are getting rid of one of them.
Yep, so 10 into 9, I believe that was, and
right.
Joe with only 3 cards in hands, like, I'm not protecting it. There's a reason I didn't swing with the other ones last turn, so you couldn't do this.
Mm-hmm. Decided the pressure was worth it.
Oh, we're going sideways with everything.
When you see the blockers starting to attack, you know it's a real game, baby.
And that's a switch that's turned off. That is Michael realizing that this is no longer a position that he can sit in for too long and deciding to start getting Teach within reach of a finish. And I respect that.
So there we see the Shirahoshi coming down, and then we see the leader ability, I think, being, I don't know, where'd that card in life come from? Leader effect? Oh, no, that was already there.
It just got put there.
Oh, it was from Ivankov's ability. Okay. For a second, I was like, how'd that happen?
Yeah.
But now we are at the critical mass turn.
Yep, here we see the 10-drop Teach saying the Luffy cannot attack or use its abilities, and I believe the leader abilities are turned off as well.
Yep.
For this turn.
For the turn, yeah. Michael will have it available on his turn. But yeah. It's really an anti-Shanks thing. That part of the card is more anti-Shanks than anything. Yeah, but the making the Fist Luffy not be able to attack next turn is a little bit rough too.
Yes, and now we get to really chip away.
Are we going to swing with these Burgesses finally now that we have a blocker to protect them from being swung back into?
That's the real trick. I'm not so sure. Maybe you wait. Do you wait for another 10 cost Teach maybe? I'm very curious.
It's always interesting.
They're so big,
even
right?
bigger.
Yeah.
Like, we have a clock, essentially, on Joe's side. As soon as he... Yep, so here we see it going down now. We're going to force cards out of hand or force these blockers off board.
That's a 10K. There's another one. Okay, there's another blocker taken out. Ivankov hits the trash. And turning things back upright is Michael.
Leader effect turned off. Luffy not being able to attack.
Yeah, that's why we see the Luffy upside down on Michael's side, just to remind him that he can't attack.
And I believe its abilities also will not be able to be used here. So now I don't think there's a way for Michael to go to 0 life. But again, I was wrong before. I'm happy to be wrong again. But I'm pretty sure.
Well, we'll see what he has in his hand. We'll see what the option is there.
I do see the Raigo in Michael's hand, which will definitely clear the Teach.
Yeah, that is kind of the final thing you're looking for, is that Raigo that can remove anything and take you down to 1 life. Well, guess what? If you're already at 1 life, you're just chilling, right? You're just removing something.
Actually,
feel good to have in hand right now.
Did Joe use leader ability last turn, or he must have? He must have.
I think so.
I don't remember him discarding, but he must have.
Yeah.
Because I don't know why you wouldn't.
I assumed he did, and now you're making me doubt myself.
Did you
Well,
discard
thanks
Van
a lot.
Augur to,
If this Sabo has an effect, we'll know for sure.
I was like, did he discard Van
he
Augur just to get his Burgess's higher?
That's what I thought too.
Yeah, I thought that was it.
And the Sabo didn't use the non-play effectors now, so now we know the answer is yes. And we got the finger pistol being able to KO it as well, getting 2 more cards in the trash. Oh my goodness!
2 more cards in the
Out
trash,
of life.
and we also just got rid of the last potential swinger.
That was a
blocker. This is going to be rough.
That is
because we
crazy.
know
and the snap choice, the immediate,
and then no blocker from the Sabo.
Yeah. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, so that was a little quick there, but yeah. So now we have a 10K attack going up against the leader that cannot be blocked, and we have another one going up.
Yep.
And there it is. He doesn't have the counter. Joe is our winner, going on to top 8.
Wow. Okay.
That was crazy.
I mean, Michael put up a fantastic fight, but Joe able to take it on that teach, and just playing that masterfully too, right? I mean, knowing exactly when the time was to use the leader ability, knowing to play it safe, build that board, search not just for the 10 cost teach, but also search for the Jesus Burgess, because man.